Good evening, everybody. Do you know why you're here tonight? Yes? The only way to make this interesting is to have some form of interaction. So please feel free to ask questions, make comments. We're going to be talking about dreams. I've been working with dreams for over 25 years. I'm a clinical psychologist, but and I also do psychic, spiritual, intuitive consultations. I work with loving guides and angels of the light. Okay, I will tell you the first story that brought in my first dream guide. You know, when you're a psychologist, I don't know if any of you are professionals, ostensibly, and I use that word carefully, they talk about dreams. You know, we're trained as clinicians, as therapists. I've seen thousands of patients. I was trained as a clinical psychologist to do therapy and so forth. I was never really trained to understand dreams except read Freud, read Carl Jung. And neither was very helpful in terms of the practical, everyday experiences of patients. I don't know if, what's the background? What's your background, folks? Anyone want to say, are you just interested in dreams? Are any of you therapists? Are any of you counselors?
Just interested.
Just interested in dreams is just as well. Because you know what I found out? That when people are therapists, especially psychologists, it's harder to talk with them because they already have, they know it. And when they know it, they're not ready to receive any new material quite like this. So I am working with this patient. It is evening in my office, and we're working on one of her dreams. And I was trying. That's another word I'm using carefully. I was really trying to help her decipher and make sense of her dream, but it was so constipated. Nothing much was moving. Nothing much was happening. Finally, I heard the voice in my head. Mind you, I don't hear voices. I may have awarenesses because I communicate with guides and with spirits and with angels. I heard the voice in my head as clearly as Genesee was talking earlier. Just a voice saying, why don't you try it this way? So I was taken aback and I said, whoa, I did not tell my patient I hear a voice in my head, because she would have said, who should be sitting here, you or me? You know? You're hearing voices, and this is what we call hallucinations, auditory hallucinations or whatever. Anyway, so silently, because I can operate on like two channels, two at the same time, so silently I asked the voice, are you from the light? That's it. And he said yes. It sounded like a male voice. Okay, I decided to accept the suggestion, and it was very, very simple, very easy. Used it and everything fell into place. It made sense. It was easy. It was simple. The session was over. Is this who I think it is? Oh, it must be someone that's very much like my friend. For a moment, you know, the light is so bright. Forgive me. I thought you were my friend. But we'll be friendly, honey. That's okay. Honestly, I thought, oh, she's here tonight.
She carries that energy.
Yeah. Anyway, so we finished the session. The patient was very grateful, satisfied. She left. I locked the door, said a prayer to bring in some sacred energy and safety. And then I said out loud, who was here? Who are you? And once again, I heard it in my head, crystal clear. I have come to help you with dreams. He gave me his name. He said, anytime you work on dreams, I will be here with you. That's it. No elaboration, no, you deserve it, you don't deserve it, or we'll develop a relationship. None of that. That was it. That was it. Well, and since that day, this is a little over 25 years ago, he has been here every single time I've ever worked on any dream. By now I've worked literally on maybe between 20 and 23 to 25,000 dreams, because patients will bring you dreams. Then when word gets around, your family, your friends, your neighbors, the friends of your neighbors, oh, you know, I had a dream, ask Doris. So everyone brings their dreams. Well, and he has been there every time. So in order for you all to really get something out of tonight, because it's brief, if there is any dream that has troubled you or bothered you or has been curious, please, if you're comfortable, share it, and I'll give you a few, because I've already said my prayers and asked him to come in. He loves to help. He loves to help. Now, I'll just say a few sentences about dreams in general. Probably the thing that annoys me the most is that when people say, I had a weird dream. That's the most common thing. I had a really weird dream. Dreams are never weird. It's the example I always use is if you hear Mandarin, Chinese language, it sounds weird as heck. You know, I've been to China a number of times. It's very difficult language, and it sounds very bizarre because I don't know that language. Same thing with dreams. We don't know the language of dreams. The language of dreams is the language of symbols, it's the language of imagery, and it's the language of the unconscious. So the unconscious is talking to you every night. Every one of us has between 5 to 8 dreams every night. Did you know that? You did. How come you do?
From health.
I'm sorry?
From health class.
From health class?
Yeah.
Then whoever was teaching health class, hallelujah. It's very unusual that people know that. You know why? Because they think, oh, well, I don't dream. That's another thing that really is aggravating. No, I never dream. No. Everyone dreams unless you have been taking either heavy drugs, cocaine, heroin. Cocaine will spike, heroin will get you down, or a lot of alcohol. It will dampen your experience of dreaming. Okay? Otherwise, you have between 5 and 8 dreams every night. And we blithely ignore them every night. And it's a treasure trove of information, of guidance, of direction, and creativity. Because your unconscious is literally creating plays, theater, every night. Any of you have any idea why we dream? Because I'll say a few sentences about that, then we'll get into some specific dreams. Do you have any idea why we dream?
Isn't it supposed to put things into categories, like in your brain? Like some things you dream and then they go away? No?
No. That's when it starts being, the explanations begin to become academic and foolish. Now, I talk from experience. You know, I'm a PhD psychologist and I've been around quite a while. I usually don't say how long, you know, women will never talk about their age, but I've been around for a while. No, you don't dream in order for the dreams to be put in a category. It's guidance. And your unconscious goes like this, Doris, pay attention. I'll give you an example that I had. I was in Colorado yesterday and the day before. I was asked to come over and give an interview on dreams. So I did. That night I had a dream that a very dear friend of mine that I haven't seen in some time, and everything it was very, very brief. The dream was almost like a little flash, 1 or 2 images. He came in this direction, I was going in this direction, and then we met. We were facing each other, and I heard a voice saying, oh, how nice. You met. And then in the dream, I was thinking, oh, he came at the right time, and so did I. That was it. That was the dream. Does that make any sense to anyone? No. It's too brief, right? We don't have action, we don't have explosions, we don't have sexual interaction, none of that. The colors in the dream were brilliant, orange, yellow, and red. But they were not intrusive. They, you know the color of the robes of Tibetan monks? You know how they are this beautiful red, yellow, orange, very bright orange. These were the colors in the dream. I don't even recall that he was wearing anything special that was different, or myself. Nothing was standing out. The message was the reassurance. You are coming together, meeting at the right time. Because I had been wondering what's going on, what's going to happen. So the unconscious was saying, Hey, you're wondering? Don't worry about it. Don't wonder about it. Here it is. You see, one image that was very simple, very easy, was so almost like a pat on the head. You see what I mean? Does that make sense to you all? Did you want to say something? Oh. Does it make sense? Yes? Why? Anyone want to make a comment? Why is it making sense? If you're reading a story, it's way too brief. It's just an image. But because the language of the unconscious is so rich and so dense, the messages can be multi-level, multi-dimensional. And always remember, the dreamer is always dreaming about the dreamer. If you dream about a war that is that just, let's say, one of my clients was saying about her dream, that she had a dream just before the war broke out in Iraq, right after 9/11. And she said, oh, I had a predictive dream, it was a war. Maybe it had some relevance to Iraq because she had a friend from Iraq. She was an American, but she had a friend from there, and there would be some concern about this person, right? So there is some relevance. But she was dreaming about herself. What was going on in waking life that was like a war? Because the unconscious always dramatizes the message and the images in order to get your attention, you see? So she was really dreaming, we'll call her Janie. She was really dreaming about Janie. And I will share another dream that is, anyone want to share a dream before I do? Because listen, folks, if I start talking, I don't stop. I'm serious, so I'll go on and on and on. Yes, dear, go ahead.
When I was a child, I know where I was living, so I was under 12.
Uh-huh.
I had a series of dreams.
Yes?
A certain number of nights in a row. I have 3 siblings, I have 2 parents, and I have a dog. We have a kept dog.
Mm-hmm.
And each night I dreamt the member of my family or the dog died, and then the next night that person would be alive and another person would die. Until
In the dream?
Each
Okay.
night it was a different person who died, but then the previous people would be alive.
Yes?
And then when I was done with all the members of my family and the dog,
Yes.
there was me.
Interesting.
And I was afraid to go to sleep that night.
I bet.
Yeah.
Nobody tried to help you with that dream.
No.
Of course
But I
not.
could
You know what's so
recall.
sad?
Yeah.
No one even has any notion of what to do about something like that, let alone with a child. What is death? Death is a doorway, but it's an ending, okay? It's an ending. When you dream, my mother died, my brother died, my father died, all you're dreaming about, you're still dreaming. May I ask your name?
Kate,
Kate? Kate was dreaming about Kate. So whatever that person represented in Kate's life, she was dreaming about that energy, that interaction, that conflict coming to an end. A death is an ending. Now, a death can imply a loss, a separation. What's going to happen to me if my mother dies? Because you're a child. How old were you?
I don't really
Take a guess.
recall. I know
Take a
I
guess.
was under 12. I don't know, maybe 8, 7 or 8.
Okay. When you don't know exactly, don't worry about it. Take a guess. Your unconscious will present a number that will have relevance if you ever take the time to bother to dig just a little. We have such treasures. Recurrent dreams are very, very significant. It's like your unconscious going like this. Over and over. So it presents it in one way. You don't do anything in waking life. It presents it in another way. You don't do anything in waking life. And it will go, recurrent dreams are a set of messages from your unconscious over and over and over to get your attention. When you pay attention in waking life and you begin to make a change or two in waking life, then the unconscious says, okay, whew, she finally got it. Okay, now we can move to something else. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. As long as you're alive, you have issues to work on. And your unconscious has endless patience. Are you all familiar with some of the work of Carl Jung, and of course Freud? Yes? No? Okay, Genesee does. I was fascinated by the work of Freud when I was in graduate school because he really opened the door, a magnificent door into the unconscious. And he used to refer to dreams as the royal road into the unconscious. Isn't that a great phrase? But I didn't care for how he interpreted stuff because it was all about your unconscious. You're really distorting that you really want to have sex with your mother, or you really want to kill your father. Or it's like, stop. Sex and murder are very important, yeah, but that's the richness of a human being, regardless of their age, does not only go around and round with those two themes, you see, okay? Any question or comment? Okay, I'm going to tell you a recurrent dream that I've had. And this has been for the last 35 years or a little long. Anytime, as soon as there would be a new president elected, and I don't get involved in politics, I can't stand it. I'm not making any comment about the politics or the relationships of presidents or anything like that. But I would have a dream. It started with Carter. I'd have a dream and it was the relevant president each time, whomever was president, that's the president that would appear in my dream. So 4 years later, if I was and when would that dream appear? When I was feeling very unsure or uncertain or really rattled by some conflict or challenge in my waking life. So the president would either be looking for me and then come into my home, want to dance with me, or when it was a Clinton, wanted to kiss my neck, so it was always very relevant to whatever they were like, but I'm not making comments about them. I would wake up, who am I? I'm such a little person. Why would they come to me? But it's so interesting because what does a president, an American president, represent? Maybe not so much in the current presidency or in the last 10 years or whatever. It's the most powerful person in the world. An American president is very, very powerful. Any leader represents a lot of power. When it's an American president, I'm sure if you have not heard any accent, please tell me because everybody else does. I wasn't born in this country. I love America with all my heart. But it's the experience of a president that really has power over not only this country, over other countries as well. So the message from this dream would be, have heart, Doris, you're okay. Even the president who's so powerful is coming to give you a hug or to dance with you, to accompany you in an interaction of rhythm. We don't talk about any sexuality. A dance, a connection. You see what I'm saying? They were always ways of reassuring me. Does that make sense to you all? Yes? No? Okay. Feel free to say something or make a sound. That's okay too.
So can I ask something?
Yes.
The dream is really frightening. What's the message there?
Depending on the content of the dream. I'll tell you how it becomes. When a dream becomes frightening, you're talking of a nightmare, correct? Okay. Would you like to share your nightmare?
So I have several reoccurring, but a theme for me is that I'm hiding in a closet and people are going to come and kill me and I hear them coming.
Mm-hmm.
Or like just a couple nights ago, I was hiding in a grate and I was seeing feet walk by the grate and I was being silent and a dog came and was sniffing and I was minutes away from being caught.
Do you always wake up before you're caught? Isn't that reassuring?
Yeah.
But what is it dealing with? Let me tell you what a nightmare is about. It's your unconscious trying to get your attention, okay? It knocks a little. You don't pay attention. And then the knocking becomes more and more intense. What happens when we have a nightmare? We awaken. Your heart is racing, you're gasping, and you remember the dream because we blithely forget easily 90% of all our dreams in waking time. Here, you will remember this. So to make sure you remember it, your unconscious will amp the drama, the intensity, and you remember it. Now, if you were to remember, the dreamer is always dreaming about the dreamer. You're always dreaming, what's your first name, honey? Tina. You're always dreaming about Tina. Not the gentleman next to you, not the young lady next to you, not the President of the United States or Doris, nobody. You're dreaming about Tina. So what is Tina dreaming about? About hiding, okay? Is there an age to you when you're hiding in the dream?
I feel like it's the current age I'm in.
You feel like it's now? Okay. It's always related to now, by the way. The best metaphor is to think of dreams as today's newspaper. Today's newspaper does what? It always deals with current events. And there is always an editorial. So there will be a commentary on current events. There might be a critiquing of current events, or there might be a support of, oh, isn't it wonderful, look at what's going on, or how terrible, look at what's going on, you see? Today's newspaper deals with whatever is current and uppermost in your life now. So whatever is happening in Tina's life today, in April of 2018, it's retriggering feelings of fear and wanting to avoid or hide from whatever it is that is pressing your buttons, and you feel scared, okay? It sounds like if this is a recurrent dream, then you have had experiences of wanting to avoid or hide certain things that were going on in your life because you didn't trust whether it was the environment, whether it was the people in the environment. And when you really want to get a handle on your dream, imagine that you're explaining what's going on to a Martian. What is a great? See if you can define a great. Not G-R-E-A-T, but G-R-A-T-E, correct? Isn't that what you're really saying?
A great is in, like, I was underground.
G-R-A-T-E,
Yes.
okay. It's
Yes.
a different spelling. I just wasn't sure.
Explain what a great
Yeah.
was.
Okay. What is a great? Tell a Martian what a great is. Can you define it?
No.
Okay. It's an opening
Yeah.
in a street. It's underground. It's pretty much hidden from the view of most people, of the environment and of people walking around. It's a place where you can hide at least briefly or temporarily. So if I were working with you, I'd say, what is it that you're afraid of now that is a repetition or seems to be triggering some themes that you've experienced before, hence the repetition, the recurrence? You see what I mean? So whatever it is that you're afraid of, you don't want to reveal it. You're not walking in the street and not afraid. You're hiding and you're still afraid, okay? And then, but what the interesting piece that you always have to remember is no matter what, you always wake up before anything happens.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? So your unconscious is tugging at you saying, Tina, pay attention, do something. Start paying attention to whatever threats you feel in waking life. They could be in relationship. They could be from a person, about money, about spirituality, about work, about interaction, about some of your own achievements, or you're questioning some of your own achievements. Any, or you're nodding.
Yeah.
Okay, which one triggered?
Well, because after that dream, I had a dream that I have a baby, and it's a new idea and a new thought. But the baby isn't a real baby; it's like a paper baby, and I'm
In the dream.
in the dream, and I'm convincing everybody to love this paper baby, but it's not quite yet. And I don't understand why they don't love the baby because I love the baby. And then someone will tell me the baby's not real, and I'm like, well, how dare you tell me that baby's not real? So I have lots of.
Okay,
Again,
what's a
weird
baby?
dreams.
Again, imagine that you're describing, what is a baby to a Martian? I'm going to tell a Martian,
Yeah.
I just had a baby. What does that mean? It means I gave
Something
birth to a new being.
New
But
idea.
because, and you can get a dream that you're pregnant or giving birth when you're 60, 70. I know nowadays, even women in their 50s and 60s have literally given birth to biological children. But generally speaking, when you dream about having a baby, you're giving birth to a new aspect of you. Remember, you're always dreaming about you. So Tina is dreaming about giving birth to new aspects of herself, but she's not fully comfortable embracing. Remember, it's all you. It's all about you, honey. So you're not fully comfortable accepting or embracing that, how wonderful, I'm giving birth, I'm creating these new aspects of me. So someone starts questioning, nah, it's just paper. What is paper? You can tear up paper very readily. You can tear it up so the feeling of vulnerability would be paramount in the dream. But also another layer, well, remember, you're still explaining it to a Martian, is you can write things on paper, never mind all the texting, schmexting that, on an iPhone or whatever. On paper, you can write. And for thousands of years, we have communicated, we have expressed creativity. You can draw, you can write. So your unconscious is saying, accept it and begin to develop it. You see what I mean? Play with your dreams. Don't just react to them. And the thing that is, we all do that, and I've heard even my own voice doing this. When it's a scary dream, you wake up and you, thank God it was just a dream. What does that mean? Thank God it was just a dream. Are you going to dismiss it because it's not occurring in daylight, so to say, or in waking life? You're putting yourself at risk. Pay attention. It's not just a dream. Dreams are so valuable and so important, and powerfully so. Anyone want to share a dream? What? Yes.
What about like falling down and can't get up? Like you're running and then I fall on my knees and I can't run. I can't
Okay.
get back up.
I am the Martian. Tell me, what does it mean if you're running?
So
Let's take one piece at a
go
time.
fast.
Going
harder,
fast.
yes.
Okay. Stop. Maybe I'm going a little too fast. Am I rushing in waking life? Remember, it's all about your waking life. Am I going a little too fast? Is that what led to my losing my footing, tumbling over? That's one piece, one possibility. So you may want to raise that question. That you can't get up, this would be an anxiety that you feel. If I don't succeed in this test, if I don't succeed in my job interview, if I'm not gonna get along with my sister, with my friend, is it going to just do me in and I'm not gonna be able to recover, get up and keep on walking? You see? Does that make sense to you? Isn't it simple? Well, yes? I'm looking at you, yeah.
Oh, no,
It's not simple.
no.
Okay,
Yes and no.
Okay, please tell me yes and tell me no,
Okay.
so I can guide you through both.
Okay. Yes, if you dissect it in the way that you're dissecting it, piece by piece, and explaining it at, on a very lower level, as if you're explaining it to a Martian.
Mhm.
Because it also makes you think in other terms. Okay?
Yes, yes, yes,
So,
yes. Uh-huh.
But it's also not, because it's almost as if you're trying to put a puzzle together, and you may be interpreting something different.
That's why you need to get a copy of my book. The title of my book is Dreaming on Both Sides of the Brain. And it's very simple, it's very easy, it's not an academic tome. There are steps that I outline so that when you start following those steps, you will begin to learn the new language of the dreams. So your point is very well taken. What if I'm interpreting it falsely? But if you follow the steps and you begin to practice, like, has any of you learned a new language besides English? Anyone? You?
Yeah.
What did you learn there?
Spanish?
Spanish. Okay. Was it easy from day one?
No.
Okay. How is it any easier right now?
No.
It, bummer.
Well, I guess, yeah.
How long have you been studying it?
3 years.
Ooh. And it's still not easier than
No,
it
it's easier. It's just
Doesn't like it.
It's not fluent.
Yeah.
It's not flowing. I speak 4 languages because my father believed in being the wandering Jew, so we kept changing countries from country to country. So, you have to learn the language again and again. When you start learning a new language, you feel lost. You don't know what's going on. How do you learn it? Practice. A little at a time. Practice. You fall on your face, you get up, you keep on walking. So for you that dream about falling, what you might want to do is, do any of you do like just a simple breathing technique, in through the nostrils? Hold the breath for 4 seconds, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then drop the jaw and exhale with a ha sound. Or if you have another breath you want to use, that's fine too. Take 3 breaths like that and imagine, in your own imagination when you're awake, if you have any kind of religious practice, say a prayer in whatever your own concept of a loving divine is. You want to create some sacred energy for protection. Then imagine that you're entering a lovely garden that you create. Call it magic. And in the garden, you see, what's your first name?
Lila.
Lila. Oh, what a nice name. Imagine that you're seeing Lila in the dream, and she falls, and she has trouble getting up. What do you want to tell Lila or have happen with Lila? Remember, you're in the magical garden. Anything's possible.
To get up and run away.
Pardon me?
To get up and run away.
And run away? Okay. Get up and run away, that's fine. Do you want to go hold her hand? Do you want to tell her where she can go, where she'll feel okay? Beautiful. In other words, you can re-enter the dream and change an aspect that may have been very troublesome. But if you just change it here, it's not going to have much of an impact. When you take the breath and you enter a magical garden, you're entering the unconscious. And you want to change the dream at its source. Okay? Any of you know what lucid dreaming is? Ever heard the term? Okay, you're nodding. Lucid dreaming is when you're dreaming, you realize you're dreaming. Okay? And it's like one of the most common dreams is to be pursued. It's nighttime. I feel someone is chasing me, and I hear a gun. Okay? I am terrified. I am running, I'm terrified. Okay? That would be the dream. So if I am experiencing lucid dreaming and I realize that I'm dreaming, I can change it immediately. Oh, wow, this is just a dream, I'm going to change it. Okay. I wake myself up or I'm done. All of that is very nice at the moment. I am very politically incorrect. So whatever is in, I may or may not necessarily accept it because I always will pass it, especially by my dream guide. And what he pointed out from the very start is, if you don't get the message that the dream is, that your own unconscious is trying to convey to you, and then you awaken from the nightmare, at the moment it's a relief. Ooh, it's great, right? But if you don't get the message, why is the unconscious telling you that? Then you know what the unconscious says, it's okay, honey. I'll just have it to give it to you in another way. And you don't get it there, or you awaken there again, I'll give it to you in another way. To the right, to the left, over, under. The unconscious is so wonderfully creative. But the important piece is to give you information and guidance. If you cut the process by escaping the feeling of fear, which makes sense, who the heck wants to feel scared as we do in a nightmare, then you have really shortcut the message. So your unconscious is just going to send it in a different form. Yes?
So Doris, every dream that you have, no matter how absurd it may be,
Yes.
is that, your higher self, is that?
Yes. It's a good word you use. You say, no matter how absurd it is, if you think about using the metaphor of Mandarin Chinese. Have you ever tried to hear it? It doesn't. I speak a number of languages. I can't grasp any of the sounds, unless someone says only one word, then I can repeat it and maybe have an idea. It's so different. I have no idea. To me, it sounds absurd. But it's a language that is rich, that's been around for thousands of years. Okay? Same thing with dreams. It's not absurd at all. It's not weird. It's not absurd. It's not foolish. You know, if the unconscious would take things personally, it would probably have stopped giving us dreams eons ago because we don't get it. You know, human beings are very stubborn, very hard. But it's not absurd. It depends on how you feel, you see. If you're afraid, the best thing you can do, I'm going to tell you how you can begin to enhance recall of dreams. That's very important. When you go to bed, not as soon as you enter the bed, but when you just are about to fall asleep, you know your eyelids are beginning to flutter. Your brain waves, we have brain waves, okay? Now I'm talking with you all. This is beta. Beta is 12 to 48 cycles per second. You know, a lot of activity. I'm talking, okay? Once I get into bed and I'm starting to calm down and relax, I go into alpha. Alpha is 8 to 12 cycles per second. So it starts slowing down, fewer cycles and greater amplitude, okay? Yes? Did you want to say something?
Cycles of what?
Oh, thank you. There is energy and electricity in our brain. You know, the heart is measured with electricity. You know, they hook you up and they can measure how your heart is functioning. It's the same thing with the brain. We have electricity in our cells. Did you know that? Yes? No? There's electricity and it's measured that way. You know, cycles are, you know, light is measured in cycles. Sound is measured in cycles. So cycles is the template. That's what my guys have inspired. It's God's template in the world. Seasons go like this, right? There is winter, then it starts getting a lot more serious, and then it starts going into spring, summer, and then back again. Just like the waves of the ocean. So the template of a wave is the form of measuring electricity, measuring sound, measuring the brain, measuring the heart. So when we have those waves taking place in our brain, as we begin to go to sleep, they get slower and wider. As they get slower and wider, your brain, if you say something out loud, not if you only think it, if you say it out loud, your own brain will hear it as a self-hypnotic suggestion. So when you get into bed and you're just about to fall asleep, if you say out loud, I will remember my dreams clearly and well and write them down when I wake up, okay? If you will write them, make sure you say I'll write them. If you will record them, make sure you say record, not write, because your brain will take it literally, okay? You say it 3 times out loud. And if you have a mate in bed, make sure you tell him or her not to make fun of it, not to poo-poo it, just to be quiet. This is what you're saying. As soon as you awaken, have a notebook by the bed, or if you will record it, press a button immediately and start saying whatever comes into your awareness. Initially, we may not even call it a dream, because you may hesitate. You may say, "I don't know. I don't think I dreamt. Whatever." Oh, okay, a patch of blue. Write down a patch of blue. At the end of the day, read out loud whatever it is that you've written. Write the date, and then give it a title. Give it a title. Okay. A patch of blue might be a little harder to give it a title, but whatever it is you associate with blue. Does that make sense to you?
No.
It doesn't make sense. Okay. The young lady was talking about falling. Your wife was talking about, are you his wife?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was just presuming. Forgive me. Okay. You know, you were talking about that recurring dream. What title would you give that recurring dream of people dying, and it's different ones over and over? What title might you give it? It's an article you read in the paper. Child finds mother dead the next day. Child finds father dead. Child keeps finding mother, brother, sister, pet die one at a time. Okay? What title might you give it? Imagine it's a newspaper article.
How
First
my
thing that comes to
how
mind,
my
don't
family
overthink it.
died? I don't know.
Okay, wait. How people died?
How my family died.
How my family died. Let that be the title.
Yeah, but they come back the next night.
I know.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How family died, okay? When you have a number of dreams, and always read the dream or listen to the dream if you're going to record it slowly, so that the words really sink in. How family died. Remember, we said death is an ending. So how this child is experiencing the disconnect, the death of one part of her family at a time. Is this a stretch? I just repeated what you were saying. The meaning and the message will begin to come with practice, and keep it simple. Keep it simple, okay? So begin to gather. As soon as you awaken, keep a record. Keep a record. Start writing your dreams every morning. Don't go and start doing your routine first. You know, what do we do in the morning? We get up, we go to the bathroom. Don't empty out one end before you start doing the other. You know, don't go urinate or do something else first. Don't do that. Immediately start writing. When you do that for just a few minutes, it doesn't have to be a whole meditation, a whole laborious experience. Write it down. Have a special notebook for your dreams. And what you will be doing is you will begin to unearth the wealth, the depth, and the amazing treasures of guidance that your unconscious is giving you. And always remember, it will always be very, not only personal, it will always be related to whatever is going on in your life now. Okay? Any question or comment?
So,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, the method that you just shared with us to say it out loud, how you're going to, you know.
I will remember my dreams clearly and well and write them down when I wake up. And write that phrase and say it exactly the same every night. Don't think it.
Okay.
Your brain will not act on it. Okay, what about it?
Well, I don't remember my dreams as much anymore. You know,
Because you haven't practiced, that's all.
I used to dream very vivid, like living color. And,
Wonderful.
yeah.
And then you took your attention elsewhere, that's all. When people say, I don't dream anymore, no, honey. How wonderful you used to recall your dreams at some point and they were so vivid. You can get back to that eventually. You know, when you start learning a language or you've been away from a language for a while, it's harder to pick it up again at the same depth. So you will just need some practice. Whatever we learn, and recording dreams is learning, okay? It is activating the brain in that direction. Whatever we learn never goes away. It may be said, ever been in a library? I have to ask you these very foolish questions because nowadays so much of the information is online and on computers. You know what the back stalls of a library used to be like? Any of you know that? Those of us who have been to university endlessly, you know, we used to go to the back stalls and get the books and sit there for hours and hours and hours, okay? So what your brain does is, if the information is not being used, it will put it in the back shelves of your brain. You have to actively erase the memory of what you've learned in order for it to be actually gone. Did you know that? It doesn't go away. It doesn't erase, it doesn't get rusty. It's just there. You haven't used it. It's there, but you just haven't used it. So you will need to bring those books, those habits back out again and practice them a little, and it will be so much easier. You see, don't expect to be an expert overnight. Be patient with self, you see. Yes.
Well, if it's a dream that you like and you don't want to end,
I'm sorry, hold on just a minute. You want to say something else?
Just like she was dreaming about people, her family dying.
Yes, yes.
My mother passed away back in 2012, and almost every night she is in my dreams. But it's
Wow.
it's present things. It's just my life, and she's there. She's part of it.
What does she say or do in your dreams?
It's not. She really doesn't say anything. It's just I know it's her. I just know it's her in the dream.
Yeah, but what do you feel when she's there? Is she just standing like a statue?
No, she's interacting with whatever is going on.
Not whatever, pick one. Pick one, it doesn't matter.
Just like with the day, like if she's making dinner, we're gonna have dinner, she's making dinner.
Okay, all right. What is dinner? Remember, you're going to explain that to a Martian, okay? First of all, it's whatever your mother represented in your life. If she represented wisdom or a lot of nurturance and kindness, then you're being revisited, or you're looking at, or you're opening up to a lot of those qualities in your life now, okay? If it's about cooking, what is cooking? It's preparing nourishment. Nourishment is nurturance. It's absolutely necessary for us to live, to survive. Was your mother a good cook? So, what is your mother reminding you of? What's your first name?
Kathy.
Kathy. She's reminding Kathy, hey, maybe you need to cook and prepare. Why do you laugh?
Probably right about that.
Because you're not doing it, huh?
She's still telling you to eat, right?
Oh, then maybe she's really, seriously, now it may not be a criticism, it may be, hey, wake up. Not wake up literally, but wake up. Why don't you begin to prepare some food like I used to prepare for you? And you will enjoy it just like you used to enjoy mine. I need to make a comment about what happens when you experience the presence of someone who has departed and you're an adult, not like the child, with the death. That's a different message. So it's the language of the unconscious. It's the language of symbols. So is it making sense if you were to look at it this way?
Oh, yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Now, when someone who's died, especially if you're close to them, and they keep appearing in your dream, were you close to your mama?
Yeah, I lived far away from her, but I came back and I was with her during the last few years of her life.
Okay, but I mean, were you close emotionally?
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
She may be revisiting you because certain aspects of her qualities, first of all, you need to remind yourself of, to make them more alive in your current life. And when someone who's crossed over keeps coming, my guys have always said, make sure you light at least 1 to 3 candles, only 1 candle at a time. Say a prayer for her soul. Do you believe that the soul continues?
100%.
Okay, wonderful.
100%.
Then if she keeps coming, it's easy, just like a tea light, once a day, that's all.
Just keep it lit and let it burn out on its
Yes,
own.
yes, please. And you say a prayer in whatever your own concept of a loving divine. The Lord's Prayer, a Catholic prayer, a Jewish prayer, a Buddhist prayer, a Muslim prayer. It doesn't matter as long as it's a loving prayer. Her soul, and just pray that her soul is in the light and is at peace. And remember the word completely.
Okay.
May my mother's soul, or if you also believe in angels, you can ask Archangel Michael, because one of his specialties is there, to please accompany the soul of my mother, and you say her full name, be in the white light promptly, swiftly, completely, and at peace. And you repeat that phrase 3 times. And that's a prayer that you're sending her way. No expectations. We can never have too much love or too many prayers, Just loving kindness, no expectations. But whatever her role was in your life, she's nudging, she is tugging at you as well. That's another message I'm sensing. Was your mother, she used to tell you what to do too, not only as most
Yeah.
mothers do, but especially
Yeah,
for
no,
you, isn't it?
absolutely.
Okay. Was it about relationships?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay, that's what I
Sad,
get.
yes.
Okay, honey. Pay attention.
Share everything.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Okay.
And review what she said and see if you can set aside some of your own resistance. We all resist our parents. Don't tell me what to do. I'm fine. I know what is needed. I know if he loves me or he doesn't. I know who I'm supposed to be with. I know what I'm supposed to do. Whatever. Set aside some of this and listen.
Okay.
And review some of what she used to tell you. And ponder over it. You may wish to talk about it to a friend who's supportive, not someone who's going to be critical. Or another thing that really rattles me is when people say, "Oh, let the dead rest in peace. Don't talk about them." I think that's very foolish, but that's a whole other. We should have a presentation on dying. That's
I
my
like
next
that title.
Pardon me?
I like the title with your little snippet right there. The cheekiness.
Okay. So your mother visiting you almost every night is very important and very valuable. And you may want to imagine her in your kitchen, hug her, tell her to sit by you, and wish her the best, and that she be at peace. Do you know what happens when we die? There is no reaction. What, you think we're going to go on forever? Do you think about dying?
We just go to a better place, is what I think.
Of peace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're more at peace.
This is what my guides have inspired, that when we die, we go to rest, first of all, because it's very hard to live in a human body. Your soul choosing, it's free choice, choosing to live in a human body is an exhausting experience. Think about each one of our lives. Some of, if someone is looking at your life as an outsider, some of us have harder lives than others, so to say. But in general, challenge after challenge, we have to eat, we have to breathe, we have to reproduce, we have to digest, we have to make a living, and on and on and on. It's very difficult, okay? Interacting with each other, continuing on with life with each other, you see? So when the soul has finished this lifetime, because we live many times, by the way, otherwise it doesn't mean anything. When we finish with this life, you want to rest. It's like you finished a very difficult semester in college. What do you do right after that? You go to Florida, you drink a lot of alcohol, and you let it rip, right? And you just have a ball. Okay, so if you really want to drink, you can imagine that you are in Florida, up in a magical garden, and you're having your drinks, and you're playing, but you rest for a while. So I've already sent in my menu when it's my time to cross over. There's got to be absolutely Middle Eastern jasmine, because I love the fragrance. Turkish coffee, dark chocolate, people that I love in my life, and if they haven't crossed over yet, it's okay. I'll wait for them. You wanted to say something earlier.
I was just saying, when you have a good dream, like there's times that you're like, oh, I wish that dream didn't end. Like I wake up and I'm like, no, I don't want to.
Give an example, like what?
You're doing something really fun with people you like, and
That's too general. Anyone want to say? Because we've all had at least one dream that's kind of fun, or that
like you're with another, like sexually you're with somebody and it's going really well.
And are you having an orgasm?
Well, maybe not yet. But
Not yet, but you're getting there.
something like that, where there's
Yes.
two people that are very intimate with each other.
Yes. And why is it sweet
Those
and
are the ones
lovely?
I don't want to wake up to.
You don't want the dream to end, of course not. So what is being together, and it's so sweet and it's sexual and it's the connection. It's the closeness of two beings. So whatever that person represents in your life, besides maybe a desirable mate, a sexual desire, emotional desire, mental, social desire, it's also sex represents the closest that two beings can be with each other. The closest, because one being enters another. You can't get, it's very literal. One being enters another. So it represents the closeness, the intimacy that the two souls can get to. So that's why, when you have a dream, I had a dream that I was having sex with my mother. Does that mean that I want to have sex with my mother? Good Lord. I am female, my mother. It's unnerving. And the interpretations that were offered from a psychoanalytic point of view take you to a whole different path that I think is really erroneous. If I'm having it, I'm really dreaming about the closeness with my mother. And because the idea of having sex with my mother might be very disturbing, am I also having some feelings and concerns? Have I been too close to my mother? It may not be literally sexual at all, but it's about closeness and intimacy. But if it's enjoyable, enter it back and see if you can retrieve it.
Oh, I tried. I'm like, can I just go back to sleep so I can really see how this plays out?
Do you know, by the way, that it's not that common that people can pick up where they left off? Like, if you're having a lovely dream, you go to the restroom and you come back. It's not very common that you can pick up where you left off. Some people can do it. Not very common. But when it's delicious like that, you want to re-enter it immediately.
Is that the subconscious then telling you to get more of that in your life, or seek?
Yes, and it's also saying, look how there is always information. Always there is. So, where are you when you're experiencing such deliciousness? Who are you with? What does this person represent in your waking life? Is it a friend? Is it a lover? Is it a friend who's like a lover because you can feel so safe being close? Do you see? So you can start having messages about that as well. But it's about feeling, so delicious and it's so good. And giving yourself permission to let go and feel wonderful. You know what an orgasm is. You cannot force an orgasm. You cannot make yourself have an orgasm, whether you're male or female. In order to have an orgasm, it's like sleep. You need to let go and relax. That's when sleep can occur. That's when an orgasm can take place. You can't make yourself have the harder you try, the more elusive it becomes. Have any of you had orgasms? It's not a very intimate question. It's a necessary one, by the way. And if you haven't, please start reading and doing something. Do something about it, because it's wonderful. This is how God created us. This is how God designed us. If God was really opposed to our having orgasms, you think they would have been there? No. Okay. Any question or comment? Let me see. What time is it, folks?
7 o'clock.
Oh.
7 o'clock? Oh my God, the hour is is over. Yes, you wanted to ask something?
You said that you started off by saying we dream multiple times a night.
5 to 8 dreams a
So
night.
the one that we remember when we wake up, was that the last one? Was
Yes.
it the most important
It tends to be.
one?
It tends to be very often. If you're having a very intense dream, you'll wake up in the middle of the night with that dream. You will awaken with that dream. Please pay attention. Write it down or record it, even if it's in the middle of the night, which we all say, oh yeah, this was so intense, I'll remember. I want to go right back to sleep. You know what happens the next day?
Oh, yeah, you don't.
Yeah, you don't, which is a shame. But it's more likely that you will recall the last one, yes.
Okay.
Yes, what you awaken with, you see.
So it's not necessarily the most important or anything, it was just the most recent one.
Don't worry about the most important, you know why?
Yeah, I know, because I don't remember the others, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. There is no judgment.
It's all relevant here.
There is no judgment. Also, your unconscious is very patient. It doesn't matter. You did not recall the first 4. It will start presenting them, but you recall the last 1 or the last 2. It will start pushing them up. That's all. So your unconscious will work with you. It's there to help you, to guide you. You know, by the way, they have proven scientifically, using functional brain MRIs in modern science, that the unconscious determines 95 to 98% of our behavior.
Mm.
We think we're aware all the time. We're not. We're clueless. You know? And it's such a shame because you have this treasure trove right here that is only interested in you. You're number one, you're number two, you're all of it. Isn't it wonderful to feel I am the center of attention in the whole world of my own unconscious? My unconscious, when people have written to me, oh, I had a dream about 9/11 2 days before 9/11. You know, the horror of it all. I didn't want to disappoint the poor young lady, but I said, sometimes you have a sense, because if you're really intuitive of something very intense, and usually it has to be trauma that will pierce through in order to get your attention, you know what I mean? But the cogent question, the relevant question is, what was going on in your waking life that you dreamt that it would be explosive, that it would be frightening, that there could be some very serious consequences if you did not pay enough attention to it and protect yourself properly in waking life? See, ask the questions. Aren't these the questions that we asked ourselves after 9/11? You know, how could we let that happen? What happened? What do we need to do to prevent it? But these are cogent questions of your unconscious as well, you see. Now, there are functions. Can I go on for a little? Is that okay?
Mhm.
All right, wonderful. Would you be kind enough to tell me, boom, give me 5 minutes before the ending. Can we do that? Or is it already an ending?
Yeah, the ending's up to you. So you tell me. You got a
I
time
told
frame?
you, if I talk,
I
I'll talk
know.
on and on and on.
That's why all these beautiful people came. We love
Okay.
listening.
Let me give you some idea why we dream. Why do we dream? As we said, it is guidance from the unconscious. But there are also some very real and tangible physiological functions. When you're in REM is rapid eye movement. When you're dreaming, your eyes are closed, but your eyes are moving under the closed eyelids. That's how they figured out 60 years ago in labs, psychology labs, that we were dreaming. It's called rapid eye movement. And you know, my eyelids are closed, but if my eyes move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, that's an indication I'm dreaming. Because they'd wake up the subject immediately at that point and say, what's going on? Are you having a dream? Are you not? And the subject would always say, yeah, I was just dreaming that, whatever, okay? But why is REM so important physiologically? Because it enhances memory as well as the growth of the brain. Who has the most REM functions? Babies. Babies, have you ever seen a cat or a dog? You know how their eyes are constantly, they dream too, except we don't get feedback. We don't know what they're dreaming about. But they dream too. And for babies, it's the most REM activity. It enhances, as I said, memory and the development of the brain. Interestingly, when you're dreaming in non-REM is when a dream takes place. Remember, we were saying there are cycles, waves. There is beta. You and I am talking. You're not talking. I'm talking and talking. That's beta. Then there is alpha, when you're more relaxed, and it's 8 to 12 cycles per second. Then there is theta, 4 to 8 cycles per second, when you dip into the unconscious and you're not conscious anymore, and it's the beginning of sleep, actual sleep. And then the deeper levels are delta, when it's half a cycle to 4 cycles, okay? When you're so deep in delta, and there is a dream, because some dreams take place even in delta, you see. It's non-REM because it's so deep. But the function of that is that we release growth hormone when we are in delta and when we are dreaming. Now, growth hormone is powerfully effective and healing for every cell of your body. By definition, a growth hormone helps your growth. but it also helps your healing. It also, if you have issues of imbalance of any kind, the more growth hormone you can release, the more you normalize your functioning. You know, doctors, psychologists, therapists are always saying, you need your sleep, you need your sleep. Parents, you need your sleep. Why? Because certain functions take place only in the deeper levels of sleep. You know what's a wonderful thing that they have found doing some research is pregnant women very often will have nightmares about their the baby that is coming. I dreamt that I was giving birth, for example, this is a common one, that I was giving birth to a little monster and he was all disfigured and I was so upset and I was devastated, okay? These are nightmares, right? The more nightmares a pregnant woman has during her pregnancy, the less the frequency of postpartum depression. Postpartum depression, postpartum, after pregnancy, you know, women will go into deep depression sometimes after they deliver their babies. I'm sure you've heard of that, yes? Or you've known someone who became very listless, and not because of any evil intent or whatever, but they became very depressed after delivering the baby, okay? That's postpartum depression. If the woman had those nightmares had more nightmares during the pregnancy, she's less likely to have postpartum depression. So it's fascinating how it's all about getting balance and how useful and functional brains are. The ones who have the most dreams, as we said, are babies. The ones who have the least are much older people. I don't even call it old, you know, like if you're in your 80s, 90s, 100, nowadays even getting to 100, God forbid, we get older and older. You dream very rarely. It's as though a lot of the work, it's like, okay, I've done a whole lot of work, now I'm ready to go home. That's enough. You know, the unconscious, my conscious, enough. You're ready to leave. You see? So it's the least dreaming. Also, someone who's attempted suicide or has been severely depressed is likely to have the most dreaming after trauma, because it's like your unconscious is saying, it's been so serious, it's been so bad, we have to discharge. So it's much safer to relive the same experience and similar experiences, so you discharge a lot of the scary hormones and the scary images when you're asleep than to repeat them when you're awake, you see. The whole intention of your unconscious is to protect you, to guide you, to support you. Not to tell you you're weird and you're strange and you want to have sex with your father or with your mother. But if that, you know, I don't want to be dismissive about that. Sometimes if a patient keeps having, it doesn't have to even be a patient, anyone keeps having those kinds of images or those kinds of dreams, pay attention, because the unconscious may be saying to you that you may have been sexually abused and you blocked it. So it can only come out when you're asleep, when you're dreaming. So you may want to think about it. Okay? Any question or comment? Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to share with you, my father's 96 and a half.
Wow.
Dreams all the time.
I love it, really?
And he is jumping and jiving like you would not believe, so active. And so maybe that has something to do with it. And I'm very happy that I dream all the time. My mother
Have you ever asked
you
him?
And your father and their dreams. You know?
Have you ever asked him? Have you ever awakened him and said, "What's going on?"
No, he doesn't live with me, and so
How do you know how he dreams then?
Because he tells me about it.
Okay, so let him talk about it.
Yeah. Well, he'll sometimes say, I had a dream last night, and it was this, but he dreams every night just like I do.
That's very unusual.
Yeah.
And it might be fascinating, because see what the kind of dreams
I'll
he
ask
has.
him. Yeah.
He is clearly trying to clean up, to finish up some unfinished business. So if it's a lot of action, he may not have had enough action in waking life before, and he's trying to do a lot. Because at some level, we always know we're going to eventually die. You know, I always say, what are we afraid of? Everybody that we know, sooner or later, we're all going to die anyway. There are only 2 or 3 beings who, you know, who we say have not died, ascended. You and I, and we're all going to die. Why be so afraid? Let us get to know death more intimately and not fear it. So it would be wonderful if you got your father to start describing whatever it is he's dreaming about, and note it. So you also dream a lot?
Oh, yes.
And the nature of your dreams is such that it is agreeable because you're smiling.
Because with just a few rare exceptions, they are just these stories that happen to me that I don't recognize the people in them. I don't recognize the scenarios. I need to start writing them down because I go, I'll remember, but I don't. And because, like I said, a couple times one's made sense. And I'm just like, I wake up and I go, oh, that was interesting. And that's all I say. And so
No.
I need to do something about that.
Not only that, to have a more, have a sense of awe and amazement at your dreams. It's interesting, all right, one more
No,
dream.
But I go like, oh, that was interesting, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned about it. It
Be
wasn't
concerned.
scary.
Be concerned, please. Because if you don't pay attention, at some point your unconscious is going to start knocking a lot louder at your door. You see. I had a woman who called, she was from, she lives in New Zealand, because I've done work with people on the phone literally all over the world. And she was saying, she was talking about a dream, and she said, oh, you know, it was just a little dream, and she began to describe it. It was not at all a little dream. It was a very interesting and curious little dream that was pointing out some issues that she really needed to work on. It was not trauma. And I think maybe that's what you're saying, because
Right.
the dreams are not trauma, so, oh, okay. Phew. Nobody died in the dream, nobody was killed in the
Right.
dream. I was not in a great underground and afraid that they're gonna kill me.
I wasn't with her, no.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But pay attention anyway.
I have
Pay
to write 'em
attention.
down.
Yes, yes. I had a dream when I was about 5 years old that I was standing looking, that's a past life. At the time, what did I know about anything with past lives or whatever? I was looking at, we lived in Egypt because I was born in Egypt, and I was looking out over water, and on the horizon was this huge, massive wave. That, and a fire, right, there was the water, and then there was a huge fire right after it. It was terrifying. I was about 5.5 years old. When I started working on dreams, it was so dramatic, I never forgot it. When I began to think about it, when I started working on dreams, it was as clear as a bell, because I've done a lot of regressions on other people, because I do past life regressions, and of course accessed my own. This was a past life from Atlantis, which was an island that existed thousands of years ago, and so on. That was very, very real. But when it was appearing, it was very interesting because, of course, as I said, it always has relevance to whatever is uppermost in your waking life. And we're going to end today's talk about recurrent dreams, the same kind of dream that you have with slight little variations over and over. Any recurrent dreams? Yes.
Taking a test that you show up for a test.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You didn't know you had that class, and you're unprepared. You're getting.
That's one of the
Exactly.
most common dreams.
Yeah, that one.
Pay attention. You have to go back to school, which means what? You have to go back and go through a lesson you think you're done with. See, if you just describe this, and what do you feel if you're not prepared for the test? You're not prepared for whatever is happening in your waking life. And you feel, anxious about it. So your dream is saying, see, and if you go back to second grade, then the lesson is very basic, honey. Very basic. If you go back to graduate school, which I did, and it was a nightmare, they were horrendous. Not because I was a very good student, but it was so traumatic. Going back to graduate school was tantamount to going back to hell. You know? Okay. But you go there and you're not only not prepared for the test, you go there and you're not wearing anything. You're not wearing your top. You know, you enter the class and you're naked. What is being naked in public? For those of us, we're all, you know, we're kind of toilet trained, or, you know, we're socialized to a certain point where we wear clothes. We don't walk around. It's not a nudist camp. So if you're naked in the dream and there are people around, you feel self-conscious. You feel vulnerable. I'm naked. I'm exposed, you see. See, you don't have to have a lot of depth about any of this. If you just say, you describe the process out loud simply, it becomes so self-evident, doesn't it? A recurrent dream. I'll share with you a recurrent dream, and then we're going to start wrapping up. I started having that dream when I was 8 years old. I see a few pennies on the ground, and I bend down and I pick them up. And as I'm picking up 2, 3 pennies, there are now more pennies, and there are now more pennies. And because we kept changing countries, what was interesting is the pennies were always the currency of whatever country we were living in. So initially they were Sudanese pennies, then they were Israeli pennies, then they were American pennies. Wherever I was living, it was an adjustment to that. You know, it's like my unconscious is saying, see, pay attention. And then after years, and it was the same dream, picking up pennies, then it was picking up a nickel, then it was picking up a quarter. Any idea of why it was changing? Any suggestion? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Your income was increasing.
I'm sorry?
Your salary was increasing?
My salary, that's the literal level. Yeah, because when you're 8 years old, you don't have a salary. And we were poor. But, you know, at 30, thank God, I'm better off. At 40, I am a little better off, but still maybe anxious about it. Anxious about it. Look at the message. And then it became a quarter, and then it became a diamond. I look at the floor and I see a ring, and the ring has 3 or 4 diamonds, and I pick it up. And then it was pearls. And the last time I had the dream, it was not pearls, it was not diamonds, it was a crystal. It was a crystal. And what is a crystal symbolic of? See, it was getting more and more valuable. But the message was, if you're going to worry about your income, about what you need to do in order to, and I've always had to support myself, okay? You will always find it, okay? Because I keep finding it. And what happens is, as soon as I see it and I bend down to pick it up, there is more and more. And what's the message? If you make the effort to do the work, you will always have more available to you. And crystals are you know, because they're energetic and they're ancient, it's about finally having not physical wealth, spiritual wealth, spiritual energy. So it's so beautiful, and I got it. Now I don't have the dream anymore. So sometimes I go to bed and I say, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have another few crystals? Different colors. That's what I was saying. When I walked in today, there is this beautiful amethyst heart that you have. I don't know which door it is because I always get lost coming in. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's great.
And as you come in into Walden, it is just sitting there. And someone meditating is just holding it. Is it a Buddha? Or just a person meditating?
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to have this as incoming. I love it. I love it. So I hope you will use the information, be amazed, and work with your dreams. Remember, you don't have to have a gift with dreams to work with your dreams. I used to remember around 3 dreams a year. A year. When I started using the technique of recalling my dreams, I began to remember only within a few weeks about 3 dreams a week. Now remember, we have 5 to 8 every night. So you will amp up the numbers very quickly. Use them, play with them, and soar with the information. And thank you for coming in today.